Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am excited. It's Wednesday. You know what time it is. It is time for our Wayne Chronicles. I have a lot to talk about today. Before we get to our topic, I just always have to do a few things at the beginning. I am excited to be officially launching my new magazine, RWYN. We are in the process of securing final advertisers for the inaugural issue and launch event sponsors. So if you or your business, or if you know someone who has a business or works for an organization that would like to get in and help us, this is the information. They can donate on the website. Go to rwaynewoodson.com and go to the RWYN magazine tab. There are links there to donate, or you can donate via Cash App at RWYNINC. I am excited. Our official launch event is June 4th. You can get tickets at rwynlaunch.eventbrite.com. I hope to see all of you there. Spread the word. Make sure everyone knows. Also, many of you know I have a foundation. We are celebrating HBCU graduates of this year. Because of COVID-19, it has not been a normal year for our graduates, for our seniors. All the things that they normally do during the senior year, most of that was just canceled because they've either been at home or they've been on hybrid. So we want to make sure that we still celebrate those graduates. So we have two things going on. First, senior profiles. So if you are a graduate or if you know a graduate of an HBCU that you'd like us to profile, just email info@theWoodsonFoundation.org their information, including the photo, name, institution, major, hometown, and any other things that you would like us to share. We are also doing senior graduation boxes. Each box is only $30, and we're hoping to give 50 of those away to seniors across the country. If you'd like to help, you can also find that information on theWoodsonFoundation.org. And as always, I want to thank sponsors. Most of my shows at the beginning of this year have been sponsored by Java 365. This is a Black coffee company. Make sure that you support them. Get Java365.com. And if you use promo code Woodson20, you will get a discount. And they also contribute to our scholarship fund. And as always, make sure you follow me on all my social media, Twitter, Instagram, of course, my YouTube channel, and Facebook. Everything is Dr. Woodson 2020. Stay in touch. Let me know what's going on. So I am excited about today's show. Let's talk about special topics. First of all, tonight we have the presidential address to Congress. So we know this can go one of two ways. Either it can go really well or it could be a complete flop. We remember the time Obama spoke to Congress and people were yelling, "You lie," out from the audience. And these are the people that we've elected to lead us. Let's just start there. Screaming and hollering and acting like children. So that is tonight. So let's see what happens. Everyone's always worried about this first 100 days. And we have a lot of people out here talking about what Biden has not done for Black people. But I think sometimes we forget that the president is not the president of one group. I said the same thing when Obama was in office. No, I did not agree with all of his policies and all the things that he did, but he was trying to do the best he can. And contrary to what many people who clearly have not studied civics think, the president does not have absolute power. This is not an absolute monarchy where he just comes there and does whatever he wants to, and then, people just deal with it. There are checks and balances, there are processes and procedures. So, I think Biden's doing a good job, but let's see what he says tonight. Let's see what he specifically addresses. I do want this George Floyd bill to get through Congress. I'm sure the Senate will not pass it, even though the House already has. But let's just see what he says. That is at 9 o'clock tonight. Make sure you watch. Let's not be the people who go back to YouTube and just watch the clips. Watch what he says so you can have the information firsthand. Next, a lot of colleges and universities around the country are announcing that they're returning to school in the fall. That is great, wonderful information. And many of them are now announced that they're also going to mandate vaccines for faculty, staff, and students. I've talked to people all this week and there are mixed feelings. Some people are against vaccines, blah, 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 blah. The reality is if it's an institution and that's a guideline, you just have to do it, whether you want to or not, or you can go somewhere else because there are schools that are making it highly recommended, but are not making it mandatory. We need to do what we can across this country. I know we're starting to think the pandemic is over, but the pandemic is not over. We are still in the middle of a global pandemic, contrary to what some people think. And we need to be doing everything we can to support that. The CDC has come out with some new guidelines, as a matter of fact, regarding outside dining and activities, and saying that masks are not required anymore in those settings. However, if you're inside in a controlled area where there might be people who are vaccinated and not, you still should wear your mask. So just keep up with what's going on. They have also issued some very interesting guidelines for summer camps. I'm interested to see how these summer camps are going to process some of these rules with these 3 feet and 6 feet apart in various elements and aspects of the camp experience. I've been to camp. I'm not really sure how you go canoeing or things like that, and you're 3 to 6 feet apart from people. So we'll see what happens. But at least they're not banning those activities. So I'm looking forward to us not getting back to normal, but creating what the new look of society will be. So that's exciting. And my final 2 thoughts today. One, of course, I was ecstatic about the George Floyd, the Chauvin decision, but I want us to remember there were also 3 other cops who were indicted, and let's see what happens there. Or was this just to appease, the masses so that they can move on? Hey, how are you? So we're going to see what happens with that. And then the last thing, I am not in support of it all. So the International Olympic Committee has just announced that they are banning protests from the Olympics. And anyone who protests, whether it's kneeling, raising a fist, or a formal protest, will be punished by the Olympic Committee. At what point do we stop infringing upon people's rights and privileges to express what's going on? If the protest is not disruptive to the Olympics. Now, I'm not saying, you stop the swim meet and you come out there with 60 people and you're protesting around the pool, or you run out on the track field. I'm not saying that. But I don't think that it is appropriate for you to ban protesting, especially when we are in a climate where so much is going on, and that is an international platform where people have the opportunity to express their saying. So I am saying point blank, period, I am not in support of this International Olympic Committee decision to ban protests at the Olympics. That is about 60 years old in thought processes, and we have to move ahead if we're going to get anywhere as a society. And I am talking to global society. So today's topic is It's Not Them, It's You. I have had this conversation so many times over the last week with people. I was talking to one person, they're like, every time I get a job, blah, 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 blah happens. Well, maybe it's not the job and maybe it's you. At some point, we have to do some self-assessment and realize that it can't always be everyone else. Anyone who knows me knows that's one of my phrases. It can't be everyone else all the time. And if you are noticing patterns that are not conducive to who or where you want to be, maybe you need to do some work on yourself. And this is across the board. I have seen people who bounce from church to church, find the exact same problems in every church. I have seen people quit and get jobs over and over and over again with the same complaints. Most of these situations are because the person has some work to do. If you don't go to work on time and you have an hourly job, how long do you think you're going to stay there? I mean, the reality is we are now in a society where we like to place the blame everywhere else. That's not effective. Very seldom do I hear people talk about the methods and things that they are doing to improve themselves. I even know a lot of people who go to church every single time the church is open, but are not doing any work on self-improvement. I was at a church years ago, and during the sermon, the person who was preaching said, there are only so many conferences and services you can go to before you start doing some of the work yourself. And that is a reality. We have to do the work. If you have the same challenge with every relationship you have, and I'm not talking about intimate relationships, I'm talking about friendships, familiar relationships, any relationship, if you always have the same issues, It can't be everyone else. It's not them, it's you. I try to encourage everyone who is associated with me to just be their authentic selves. Sometimes these problems come because you have manufactured some personality that you want people to think is the real one. And then when they get to find the real you, they are shocked and amazed. Be authentically yourself. Do not create these images. Anytime people date, we always say you can fake a personality for 3 to 6 months, but you really get to know who that person is in the 7th month, because it's hard to manufacture a false personality that long. Be authentically you. Let people figure out who you are and then decide if they want to engage or not. But like some of my friends say, don't send a representative to the event. Send you. People want to know you. You were put here to do something that is specifically assigned to you. So you don't need to try to be a copy of me, or you don't need to try to be a copy of someone else. Be you. And then people have the opportunity to either deal with you or not. There have been some people who've been authentically themselves with me, and I have chosen that I do not want to deal with them at all. And that's okay. But you have to be authentically you. If you are in business relationships and they never seem to go right, or you go to the meetings and you do these amazing presentations and you never get any business from that, or if you are a performing artist, and the audience is never receptive, it can't be everyone else. It's not them. What are you doing? What can you work on within yourself to improve? The first thing I do every morning is I have written some passages on the mirror in my bathroom. There are 4 principles that I read every single morning that help drive my day. Then the second thing I do is say to myself, what is the one thing I can work on and enjoy and improve today? Work on and improve today. One thing every day. If you keep doing that kind of focused work, then you can begin to change things. But if you just sit around, and I hate to say it, you just sit around and you complain all the time, and it's always everyone else's fault, and you got the sad song all the time. First of all, people are not going to want to be around you. No one wants to be around that kind of negativity consistently. Now, we all have bad days. We all have moments of weakness. We are human, and all of that. People give you grace for that. But if that is consistent every single day, there's going to come a time when people are not going to want to deal with it. And that is the true fact. Now, they might not tell you, we have this thing called ghosting. They might ghost you. If it's a friend, they might all of a sudden be consistently busy every time you want to do something. But there is a time where they're not going to want to engage anymore. So what are you doing to positively improve yourself? What are you doing so that you are not placing the blame on other people? Have you done a character assessment of yourself? And I mean a real look, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, about what you need to do better. And I'm always transparent on this show. I've had to do this work. If you knew me 20 years ago, I am not that person anymore. That person was in a very bad space emotionally, mentally. I was intentionally mean to people because that was my defense mechanism to keep people away from me. But you have to grow. And it took a lot of work. I am a promoter of mental health services. If you need to speak to a counselor, there is no shame in getting help. No shame at all. Sometimes in various communities, we have a stigma about getting mental health services. Don't allow anyone to deter you from doing something that you think will improve yourself. And part of my growth came because I am blessed to have an inner circle of people that are bluntly honest, even sometimes when I wish they would just shut up. They are bluntly honest, but that also gives me some real assessment. You can't get assessment like that from people who need you or who need your services all the time. But you should have A small circle of people that you know at any point in time will give you honest feedback. Anytime I do anything, I have one of my god brothers that I call all day, every day, anytime a thought comes in my head, because I know he's going to either say that's good, that's bad, where'd you come up with that? But he's going to give me that honest feedback. But at the end of the day, it can't be everyone else that is a problem. You know, we've all worked with that one person who sits at the job, complains about the job all the time, hates being there, blah, 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 blah. One, they probably can't get another job, which is why they're probably there. Two, that kind of negativity trickles across the board. And it kind of festers, and then other people start becoming that same way. And it's like, you know, if you have a basket of apples and that one bad apple and then the rest of the apples start going bad, it's the same thing. You know, I directed choirs for years. One of the things you have to do is keep them motivated and encouraged positively, while also having the discipline and the expectation that the music's excellent. That is not an easy task to do, especially on days where you're having a bad day. And we have bad days. Everyone has bad days. If you don't have bad days, you're lying. And that is not easy. You know, I work in education. It is not easy to be positive and promote the things that we need to promote all the time. You have to work at that. Perhaps what you need to do in order to really do that work is take some time for yourself. You know, take some personal time. And I'm not saying you have to take off from work, but I'm saying perhaps you need to actually take a day off a week and not do anything. Perhaps you need to find a spa time. I have been so encouraged lately, and I'm going to try to do it myself a little bit more, but I haven't been, that I am seeing so many of my friends and connections actually taking vacations. That was not something I did. I was so work driven for years that the very thought of taking a vacation really caused me anxiety, because I would think all this stuff is going to pile up, or, you know, things are going to fall apart if I'm gone. And the reality is it's not. Especially if you work for someone else, I say all the time, if you died tomorrow, they will have you replaced on Friday. There will be somebody interim at least doing your work. So take the time for yourself so you can grow and improve. You know, a lot of people are looking for relationships, but you are not mentally in a place where you can build and grow a relationship with someone. And I'm speaking from experience, because I was there at one time. I was not in a place to be in a relationship. I needed to be by myself so I could grow, so I could do that work, so that when I do find someone, or I do get into a relationship, I'm ready for it. Same thing with work. I watched Mark Coley's show last night. He did a prophetic impartation, and that's a lot of the work he does. He imparts a spiritual in his business practices. And he was just saying, you know, we were all put here for a specific thing. And if you find that thing, if you do the work to do that thing, then everything else kind of falls in line. Hey, Pastor Andrew. But that's critical. You know, yes, I'm a leader in the church and I have credentials and all of that, but everybody's not called to lead a church. Everyone's not called to pastor. Everyone's not called for the utmost elevation. Some people are down there in the trenches doing the work. There are people who don't even have titles in fields that are doing the work, because they realize that the work is about them and not everyone else. So the reality is we need to stop complaining. We need to stop focusing on everybody else and what's going wrong and the negativity, and really start shifting our mindsets to a positive space so that we can improve. So when I say it's not them, it's you, I mean that wholeheartedly. And that's also a mantra for myself. I have a cup, and if anyone's ever seen me drink my coffee, the cup says no one cares. And people think, you know, that's to the other people who read the cup. That is to me to remind myself that complaining or being negative and all is not conducive to success. It's just not. You can't build something and consistently be in a negative space. That's a career, a relationship, a friendship. You just can't do that. You need to refocus and become a person that lives in a positive space so that it's not everyone else and so that you are doing the work. So if you don't remember anything else from this morning, remember to do the work. Do the work for you, whether it be vacationing, spa days, reading, taking a day where you don't answer the phone, positively communicating with people, rebuilding relationships, severing some relationships, refocusing your career, building better spiritual foundation, whatever it is, do the work so that you can be successful. So, of course, this is my Wednesday morning. Next week's topic is going to be a little controversial. So you might want to grab a cup of coffee if you're going to watch. And I do want to remind everybody again, go to my website, rwaynewoodson.com. I'm launching my magazine. We still need advertisers for the issue and event sponsors. The event is June 4th at 8 p.m. here in Atlanta. You can get tickets also on the website. Hope to see everyone there. Thank you all for your continued support. Have a great Wednesday and enjoy the rest of your week.